Erling Haaland came into the 2024-25 season hoping to join the greatest Premier League top scorers. Manchester City forward Haaland is seeking a third consecutive triumph in the Premier League Golden Boot race this season. That is a feat which has only previously been achieved by Alan Shearer and Thierry Henry, who are two of the greatest strikers to have ever played in England's top division. Haaland is looking to become the top Premier League scorer again after winning the Golden Boot by a healthy 5-goal margin in 2023-24, when Chelsea attacking midfielder Cole Palmer surprisingly emerged as his closest challenger. Man City star Haaland netted 27 times last season and fired 2 hat-tricks, including a 4-goal haul and a victory against Wolves towards the end of the year. His exploits helped Pep Guardiola's team to win a historic 4th straight Premier League title. Despite those heroics, the Norway international's goal total was well short of the 2022-23 tally he produced. That season saw him make a stunning start to EPL life, scoring the record-breaking 36 top-flight goals to claim the Golden Boot in his debut campaign, one which also saw City and Guardiola win a famous treble. Haaland's 2 straight successes in the goal-scoring charts in England made him the first player since Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah in 2019 to win back-to-back crowns. Haaland made an emphatic start in his bid to score the most goals in the 2024-25 season, netting 2 hat-tricks before the end of August. He started the year as a strong favourite, coming in fresh after not playing at Euro 2024, but Palmer and Newcastle forward Alexander Isak are podium finishers from the last campaign who are challenging him again. Aston Villa striker Ollie Watkins and Haaland's Man City teammate Phil Foden were also looking to follow up their strong scoring seasons, while Dominic Solanke impressed for Bournemouth last year and has now joined Tottenham. Former Golden Boot winners Salah and Son Heung-min are also eager to be crowned winners in the Premier League scoring standings once more, while Darwin Núñez was also in the running according to pre-season betting odds. Manchester United hoped Rasmus Højlund could kick on in his second year at Old Trafford and challenge to score the most goals this season, while Bukayo Saka and Kai Havertz are among a number of possible Arsenal contenders when the year began. Jean-Philippe Mateta enjoyed a brilliant end to last season for Crystal Palace, and there are also some new transfer signings who have arrived at England's biggest clubs for the new campaign and deals which could shake up the Golden Boot race. Man United hoped Joshua Zirkzee could make an immediate impact. West Ham signed Nicolas Füllkrug from Borussia Dortmund and Evan Nelson joined Bournemouth to replace Solanke. The Premier League top scorers will be displayed on this page throughout the season. We will take an in-depth look at the latest standings for the players with the most EPL goals, with updates from every match day. Mohamed Salah is first in the list of Premier League top scorers for the 2024-25 season, and it looks like he has seen off the player who has been his closest challenger in the standings for much of the season, Manchester City star Erling Haaland. Man City forward Haaland has 21 EPL goals from 28 matches, and he led the Premier League Golden Boot race for the early stages of the season. Liverpool attacker Salah seized top spot from Haaland on December 4 and currently holds the outright lead once again after a brief period prior to Christmas when the pair were level. Cole Palmer, last season's runner-up, is one of Salah and Haaland's main rivals once again. With 14 goals to his name so far, the Chelsea star could finish on the podium in back-to-back years, although he has slowed down significantly of late. Informed stars Alexander Isak, Chris Wood, Brian Mbeumo, Yohan Wissa, Ollie Watkins and Matheus Cunha have been some of the other big movers in the scoring standings over recent weeks. We have now reaching the final stage of the season with Liverpool star Salah, who has 27 goals from 32 appearances, currently sitting 6 strikes clear of his closest attacking rival Haaland. And Salah appears poised for Golden Boot glory after Haaland was ruled out for up to 7 weeks with a serious ankle injury he suffered in the FA Cup at the end of March. Salah is still enjoying a strong lead despite not netting in his last 3 top-flight matches. He went without a goal in Liverpool's 1-0 Merseyside derby victory over Everton and their shock 3-2 loss to Fulham last week, as well as Sunday's narrow 2-1 victory over West Ham, but he is still in a strong position to triumph. There are now 17 players who have reached double figures for goals as an entertaining Golden Boot race continues. Salah has already comfortably passed the goal total that gave him Golden Boot glory in the 2021-22 campaign, and may now have Haaland's single-season record in his sights if he continues his stunning form so far this season. For the first third of the season, there was a familiar face racing clear of the rest at the top of the Golden Boot rankings in the form of Man City striker Haaland. Defending champion Haaland and last year's runner-up Palmer returned to Premier League action in the same game as Man City travelled to play Chelsea on the opening weekend. It was Haaland who made a fast start to his Golden Boot bid with an early goal, and Man City went on to win the match 2-0 at Stamford Bridge. Haaland would have fancied his chances of adding to his goal tally in MD2 as Man City played at home to promoted Ipswich Town, and he did that in fine style, scoring the first EPL hat-trick of the new season in ruthless fashion and storming to the top of the standings, with City winning 4-1. If that was not enough to make the chasing pack already demoralized in the first month of the season, rampant Haaland then made it 2 hat-tricks in as many weeks, with his latest treble helping Man City to a 3-1 win over West Ham in London. Haaland added 2 more goals as Man City came from behind to beat Brentford on MD4, and he then netted again as Guardiola's champions played a thrilling home clash with title rivals Arsenal that finished 2-2 on September 22. The Arsenal goal saw him hit double figures for the season in just 5 games, making him the fastest player in EPL history to reach 10 goals. The City striker, who had previously held a share of the old record, 10 goals in 6 games, now holds the milestone outright. It was also a significant strike for another reason, as it took Haaland to 100 goals in all competitions for Man City. He matched Cristiano Ronaldo, who had his run of goals at Real Madrid, as the fastest player to achieve that feat for a club in Europe's top 5 leagues, reaching 3 figures in just 105 matches overall. After such a fast start, Haaland strengthened his position as a commanding favourite to score the most goals in the 2024-25 season. However, he then had a run of scoring only 3 goals in 13 games, which is a spell of poor form, at least by the Norway star's high standards, that started with a rare run of failing to find the net for 3 consecutive matches against Newcastle, Fulham, and Wolves. The bad period of form for Haaland came as Man City suffered a dramatic period of dreadful results, the worst of Guardiola's long tenure. At one stage they lost 5 matches in a row across all competitions and had a streak of 7 games without winning. It was not just the results which caused concern, but also the way Man City were suffering some shocking late collapses, while striker Haaland missed a Champions League penalty in a heavy defeat against Sporting CP as part of the alarming run. While he scored the winner in a 1-0 victory against Southampton, His other strikes leading up to the festive period did not come in winning efforts, with goals coming in the 2-1 loss to Brighton and 2-2 draw away to Crystal Palace. Haaland had a frustrating afternoon as Man City suffered the shock 2-1 away loss to Bournemouth, and despite a productive November international break for Norway, he could not follow that form up in the first game back against Tottenham. He went without a goal and Spurs fans could barely believe it as their side romped to a 4-0 away victory, with that result a shocking outcome as a new contract signed by manager Guardiola had lifted the Man City mood ahead of the game. Attacking stars Haaland and Salah had a pivotal head-to-head battle as Liverpool hosted Man City in a massive match on December 1st. The top-of-the-table clash at Anfield ended 2-0 in Liverpool's favour and also impacted on how the Golden Boot race, with Salah scoring a penalty as Haaland was kept out at the other end. Haaland again went without a goal even though Man City ended their winless streak by beating Nottingham Forest and, following his goal at Palace, matchday 16 was even worse for Haaland, as he was kept out as his team suffered a dramatic late 2-1 derby defeat to Man United. He suffered the same fate a week later, with Man City losing 2-1, this time away to Aston Villa. Haaland then had a penalty saved by Jordan Pickford in the frustrating 1-1 home draw against Everton on matchday 18, but fortunately for the striker that would prove to be the end of his poor form. He recovered to score 4 goals from his next 4 games to stay in Golden Boot contention. Haaland found himself under pressure as Man City travelled to play Leicester City, but there was huge relief for him as he scored a header as part of a 2-0 win. Then he starred as Man City took on West Ham, as Guardiola's men continued to build some momentum, beating the Hammers 4-1 with their star striker netting a clinical double. Haaland went without a goal as his team let a late lead slip to draw a tough away match to Brentford, but Man City got back on track once more away to Ipswich Town on January 19. The forward went into the match on a high after he signed a massive new 9.5-year contract and he had scored a hat-trick against this opposition earlier in the season. It proved another great day for Man City, as they romped to a 6-0 victory, with Haaland scoring once and 2 goals going to inform Phil Foden. There was a huge game for Haaland and Man City as they faced Palmer's Chelsea on January 25, with Guardiola's men winning 3-1 and the Norway star scoring an exquisite chip in the second half to punish an error from Robert Sanchez. Haaland could not stop the champions from falling to a heavy 5-1 defeat against Arsenal on February 2, but he did at least get on the scoresheet himself. He did not net in the champions' impressive 4-0 win over Newcastle, in which Isak was also kept out at the other end. Instead it was new Man City signing Omar Marmoush who netted a rapid hat-trick. There was also an injury scare for Haaland in the closing stages, and while Guardiola was relieved the problem did not prove to be too serious, it did rule him out of a second head-to-head clash with Golden Boot rival Salah when Liverpool 2-0 won at the Etihad Stadium on February 23. Having also missed a Champions League clash with Real Madrid, Haaland returned from his short injury absence away to Spurs on February 26. Scoring the winning goal in a victory to reach 20 goals for the campaign. Haaland became the second forward, after Salah, to hit that milestone this season and also just the second player in competition history, after Man United great Ruud van Nistelrooy, to have reached 20 goals in each of his first 3 EPL seasons. He went without a goal in a disappointing 1-0 away loss to Forest in MD28 but bounced back by converting a penalty in the 2-2 home draw with Brighton a week later. That strike on March 15 was notable as it meant Haaland reached 100 Premier League goal involvements, with 86 goals and 14 assists. He achieved that feat in just 94 matches, making him the fastest to hit three figures, with no other player having previously got there in under 100 games. However, there was a huge blow for Haaland on March 30. He suffered a serious ankle injury after scoring in Man City's FA Cup quarter-final win at Bournemouth, and was subsequently ruled out of action for up to 7 weeks. Given he already trailed Salah in the standings, it was news that all but ended his Golden Boot hopes for this season. While Haaland was so fast to get up and running, Salah also made an excellent start in his bid to be the top scorer this season. Salah netted in each of the Reds' first 3 EPL matches under new boss Arne Slot, including a starring performance on MD3 when Liverpool travelled to play rivals Man United at Old Trafford. The Egypt international is known to have a great record at that venue, and he impressed against United once again, netting once and setting up the other 2 goals for teammate Luis Diaz as Liverpool cruised to a 3-0 win. Salah and Diaz were frustrated as Liverpool fell to a shock home defeat against Forest in their 4th match, but Diaz helped the Reds storm back to form, scoring twice in a 3-0 home win over Bournemouth on MD5, while Salah struck in a victory at Wolves. But the most important run of form to help Salah surge into Golden Boot contention was a magnificent stretch where he scored in 7 consecutive Premier League matches, netting 9 goals in total during that span between October 20 and December 4. Salah struck in a key win over Chelsea, before netting a crucial late equaliser against Arsenal in a 2-2 draw at the Emirates Stadium on October 27. He also scored the winner against Brighton, as Liverpool came from behind to win 2-1, before getting a goal that made sure of a 2-0 home triumph over Aston Villa. And Salah's match-winning double in the thrilling 3-2 win at Southampton on November 24 meant he became the second player after Haaland to reach 10 league goals this season. Salah continued his stunning form with a double even though the Reds had to settle for a dramatic 3-3 draw away to Newcastle. The Merseyside derby being postponed temporarily stalled Salah's progress, and he then went without a goal as 10-man Liverpool drew a dramatic contest with Fulham 2-2. But Salah claimed an outright lead in the standings in the last weekend before Christmas when he was back on the scoresheet with 2 goals in the remarkable 6-3 away win over Spurs, in which Diaz also struck twice. Salah strengthened his lead further when he scored late on against Leicester City on Boxing Day as Liverpool came from behind to defeat Leicester City 3-1 at Anfield, cementing their hold on first position in the league table. Salah and Liverpool hoped to keep up their momentum on December 29 with a trip to face West Ham, who they brushed aside despite the Hammers having seemingly improved in the weeks leading up to the match. The attacker continued his sparkling form with a goal and 2 assists as Liverpool romped to a 5-0 away victory. In his first match of the new year, Salah was hoping to add to Man U's recent woes as Liverpool hosted the Red Devils at Anfield. United came into the game in terrible form, and Salah has a proud record against his team's biggest rivals, including the starring performance at Old Trafford earlier in the season. He did net again at Anfield, scoring a second-half penalty, but the match was not as easy as many expected for Liverpool as they drew 2-2. After a brief pause in Premier League action for FA Cup play, Salah went without a goal in 2 games across a huge week of top-flight action. A full midweek card saw Nottingham Forest host Salah and Liverpool in a crucial top-of-the-table clash, but he was unable to get on the scoresheet in a 1-1 draw. The Reds then grabbed a late 2-0 away win at Brentford in the weekend match that followed, but Salah went without a goal as Darwin Núñez instead proved Liverpool's hero with 2 stoppage-time goals. Liverpool and Salah were eyeing goals in MD23 when they played at home against Ipswich Town, and those strikes arrived with the Egypt star netting once and informed Cody Gakpo scoring a double in a 4-1 win. On matchday 24, the Liverpool forward scored twice as his side won 2-0 at informed Bournemouth to become the first EPL player to pass the 20-goal mark this season. When Salah returned from the FA Cup break, when his team fell to a shock elimination at the hands of Championship side Plymouth Argyle, he was able to maintain his fine form. In the rearranged Merseyside derby between Everton and Liverpool, Salah scored what looked like it would be the winning goal, only for a last-gasp equaliser to earn Everton a dramatic 2-2 draw. Still, the goal meant Salah increased his Golden Boot lead going into the home match against Wolves on February 16. After his rivals like Haaland and Isak did not score the day before, Salah had a chance to extend his advantage and he did exactly that, netting a penalty in a 2-1 win that also saw Diaz score, with the league leaders holding on for victory despite an impressive second-half strike from Cunha. Salah then struck again in Liverpool's 2-2 draw away to Aston Villa and made it 6 games in a row with a goal in his second clash of the season with champions Man City. He scored the opener at the Etihad Stadium to become the first player this season to reach 25 goals, as the Reds recorded a statement away win with Golden Boot rival Haaland out injured for City. A sublime scoring run for Salah ended in the 2-0 win over Newcastle in MD27, though he did get an assist. And he was back in the goals during a top versus bottom clash on March 8 as Liverpool faced Southampton at Anfield. Salah scored 2 penalties as the Reds came from behind to win 3-1. The Man United attackers are once again enduring a tough season. A poor start to the campaign led to Erik ten Hag's sacking as manager and the subsequent appointment of Ruben Amorim. United edged to a 1-0 win over Fulham in the first match of the campaign at Old Trafford, but after Rasmus Højlund suffered an injury in pre-season, it was new signing Joshua Zirkzee who stepped up by scoring a debut goal with a deft finish 3 minutes before the end of the match, having come on as a second-half substitute. But Zirkzee did not net again until December 1, when he scored twice in a 4-0 win over Everton in Amorim's first EPL victory. Marcus Rashford also hit a double in that game, but he has found the target just 5 times in the top flight this season. His other goals were an impressive strike in United's win at Southampton and scoring the first goal of the Amorim era in a draw at Ipswich Town, before his loan move to Aston Villa. He has scored once for Villa so far. Højlund opened his account in the win over Brentford on October 19 and got his second against Nottingham Forest on December 7, but has also had a difficult campaign. His goal against Leicester City on March 16 ended a 21-match run without scoring across all competitions. Bruno Fernandes has had slightly more joy, bouncing back nicely from a slow start that had seen him fail to score in his first 9 EPL matches. He finally got off the mark with a penalty in the draw against Chelsea on November 3 and followed that up with goals against Leicester, Forest, Man City, and Brighton. The Portugal international netted a fine free kick in the dramatic 2-2 draw at Everton in February and then scored another impressive set-piece goal in another draw, this time against Arsenal on March 9. His fine strike against Leicester in a 3-0 away win a week later took him up to 8 EPL goals. Aside from Fernandes' form, One rare highlight was Amad Diallo scoring Man Utd's first EPL hat-trick of the 2024-25 season, as the Red Devils came from behind to seal a late 3-1 win over bottom-of-the-table Southampton at Old Trafford on January 16. However, he is now out with injury and United's long wait for a Golden Boot winner will continue beyond 2024-25. Bukayo Saka and Kai Havertz have also seen their Golden Boot hopes dashed by injuries. The attacking duo wasted little time to get up and running, both scoring as Arsenal defeated Wolves 2-0 on MD1 to start their campaign. Havertz struck again as 10-man Arsenal drew 1-1 with Brighton in MD3, and he added another in the late win over Leicester City. Both players were then on target in the MD7 home victory over Southampton and the MD13 triumph at West Ham. Saka, who also scored against Liverpool on October 27 to become the youngest Arsenal player to reach 50 EPL goals, was also thriving in the early assist rankings this season. Both he and Havertz netted in the thumping 5-2 win at West Ham, with the Germany star on target again in the 5-1 win away to Crystal Palace and 1-0 home triumph against Ipswich. Havertz has added 2 more strikes in 2025, scoring in the 2-2 draw against Aston Villa before netting in the famous 5-1 home win over Man City on February 2. But Arsenal's hopes of seeing either player secure a podium finish now appear to be over due to injuries. Saka did not play in the Premier League from December 21 until April 1, though he did mark his return with a goal against Fulham. And Havertz suffered a hamstring injury at Arsenal's warm-weather training camp in Dubai during the FA Cup fourth-round break in February. The problem is set to keep him out for the rest of the season. Early in the season, former Golden Boot winner Son Heung-min was prominent in the goal-scoring charts in England after the Spurs star struck twice in an emphatic 4-0 win over Everton and netted as part of an impressive individual performance in the 4-1 win over West Ham. But he has since seen multiple Spurs teammates move either level or ahead of him in the scoring standings, with Dominic Solanke and Dejan Kulusevski up to 7 goals, while James Maddison has now reached 9 and Brennan Johnson has surged up to 11. Among the most notable Spurs performances, Solanke netted twice in the 4-1 win over Aston Villa in November, after Johnson had earlier struck. Wales forward Johnson then capped Spurs' famous win over Haaland and Man City, after Maddison had netted a first-half double to set them on their way. Son and Solanke were back on target when Tottenham faced Chelsea, but Spurs still suffered a memorable 4-3 defeat. There were 2 goals for Maddison and another for Son in the crucial 5-0 win at Southampton on December 15. Elsewhere in the Premier League Golden Boot race, Noni Madueke scored the second Premier League hat-trick of the season on MD2, doing so just 1 day after Haaland's Ipswich treble. That hat-trick helped Chelsea storm to a 6-2 away win over Wolves. Palmer set up all 3 of Maduke's goals and scored with a fine strike himself to get up and running for the campaign. Palmer was also on targeting Chelsea's MD5 win at West Ham. The Blues triumphed 3-0, with Nicholas Jackson netting twice to continue a productive start to the season for him. The centre-forward added a further goal in the 2-1 defeat at Liverpool. It was Palmer who stole the headlines on matchday 6, as the England star stunningly scored 4 goals in the first half as Chelsea beat Brighton 4-2 at Stamford Bridge. That was the second time in 2024 that Palmer has scored 4 goals in an EPL match, with his star performance meaning Haaland's lead at the top of the scoring standings was briefly cut. But Palmer was unable to take advantage of Haaland's rare quiet spell, with Salah instead moving into the ascendancy. When Chelsea hosted Nottingham Forest, Palmer hit the post and set up a goal for Madueke, but the Blues had to settle for a 1-1 draw. Palmer was also unable to score in the blockbuster clash with Liverpool, but he did net the winner, as well as having another goal disallowed, as Chelsea defeated Newcastle 2-1 on MD9. However, Palmer was unable to find the net in consecutive 1-1 draws the Blues recorded away against Man United and at home against Arsenal, nor did he strike in the win at Leicester City. Jackson and Palmer were both on target in the 3-0 home win over Aston Villa on MD13, though, with the latter's strike being a wonderful long-range effort. Palmer and Madueke then helped Chelsea to an emphatic 5-1 win at bottom of the table Southampton. And Palmer continued what was looking said to be a stunning campaign with 2 penalties in the win over Spurs on December 8, ensuring he reached double figures in rapid fashion. Jackson was the Chelsea contender who found the target in MD16, with the Blues beating Brentford 2-1 despite a late strike from Mumo for the visiting Bees, which took him up to 10 for the season. Palmer was back on the scoresheet with a wonderful individual goal against Fulham, but he could not prevent Chelsea from falling to a 2-1 home defeat. He netted in the 1-1 draw away to Crystal Palace in the first game of 2025 and scored in the 2-2 draw with Bournemouth on January 14. But a poor run of form since then appears to have ended his hopes of victory. Before a ball was kicked, Mumo would have been seen as an unlikely candidate to be named the top Premier League scorer, but he netted impressive doubles for Brentford both home and away in their 2 matches with struggling Southampton, and he scored another 2 goals in a match against Ipswich Town. Mumo and Wissa are being relied upon by the Bees after Ivan Toney left the club, and they have both combined for 31 league goals. Wissa has netted home and away against Man City this season and also had a double in the home win over Bournemouth. Ollie Watkins had a slow first few matches this season, but he got up and running on MD4 with a double as Aston Villa came from 2 goals down to defeat Everton 3-2. But it was his fellow forward John Duran who stole the show with a wonder goal to win it for Unai Emery's men. Duran eventually reached 7 goals in a strong first half of the season, but was then sold in a big money transfer to Al Nassr in the January window to end his Premier League Golden Boot bid. Watkins was on target again in MD5, helping Villa to another comeback victory, this time over local rivals Wolves, and his form continued with another strike against Ipswich on MD6. Resurgent Watkins made it 5 goals in as many top-flight games by netting in the 3-1 away win over Fulham, but he then went 3 straight matches without finding the net prior to ending that run against Crystal Palace on MD12. His penalty against former club Brentford and strikes against Brighton, Everton and Arsenal had taken him up to double figures in league goals by mid-January, with Duran's exit coming soon after. Watkins boosted his goal tally for the season by scoring against Ipswich and Liverpool in back-to-back February appearances. He scored against Brentford in his only March appearance, meaning the forward has scored home and away against his old side this season. Watkins' most recent strike came when he netted as a substitute against Southampton. Chris Wood is in fantastic form. He has scored 18 goals, including a double in the win at Leicester City on October 25 and a hat-trick in the astonishing 7-0 home win over Brighton on February 1. Wood has been key to helping Nottingham Forest produce some remarkable results in the 2024-25 season. His header away to Man United on December 7 made him the third player this season to reach double figures, after only Haaland and Salah. A rare game where Wood did not net was when Forest lost 3-1 to Newcastle on November 10, with Alexander Isak on target for Eddie Howe's men in that game to kickstart an impressive scoring surge. Having had a slow first few weeks of the campaign, that Forest game started a charge that saw the Sweden star also strike in the dramatic 3-3 draw with Liverpool, the loss at Brentford and win over Leicester City to reach 7 goals. And Isak fully surged into Golden Boot contention with a ruthless hat-trick away against Ipswich Town on December 21. He reached his treble inside 54 minutes to hit double figures for the season as Newcastle cruised to a 4-0 win. The centre-forward followed up that fine form with Premier League goals and the wins over Aston Villa, Man United and Tottenham before scoring twice and adding an assist in a sparkling display as Newcastle defeated Wolves 3-0 on January 15. Isak had superbly netted in 8 straight games, netting 11 goals in total during that remarkable sequence, prior to a goalless outing against Bournemouth on January 18. A match where Bournemouth won 4-1 courtesy of a hat-trick from Justin Kluivert. Isak ensured he remained in the battle for Golden Boot glory deep into the season by continuing his supreme surge with a double as Newcastle came from behind to defeat Southampton 3-1 on the road. He was kept out as his team suffered defeats to Fulham and Man City in February, but bounced back MD26 with a double as Newcastle again beat Wood and Forest, this time in a 4-3 thriller. After helping Newcastle to EFL Cup glory, Isak became the third EPL player this season, after Salah and Haaland, to reach 20 goals with his strike against Brentford on April 2. As for Kluivert, he had already scored a hat-trick this season prior to the Newcastle game, netting 3 penalties as Bournemouth beat Wolves 4-2. The first of his 2 trebles came on November 30, which was the same day as Kevin Schade scored 3 times for Brentford against Leicester. Bournemouth have accounted for 3 of the 12 Premier League hat-tricks this season, as Dengo Ouattara also got one against Nottingham Forest on January 25. After the initial weeks of the season it was already looking like a gargantuan task for anyone to catch Haaland, which was an astonishing state of affairs so early in the campaign. But in form Salah gradually reduced the gap and then claimed a dramatic lead. Since that point, he has continued to extend his advantage in a stunning show of goal-scoring consistency. We are ending the season with the standings tightening up significantly in the chasing pack below the leader, so that intriguing battle coupled with the earlier fight at the top between Salah and Haaland means we have had an entertaining Golden Boot race after all, but it's the Liverpool star who is set to triumph. Premier League Golden Boot, previous winners. Thierry Henry holds the record for the most Premier League Golden Boot wins, having been named the top scorer in the competition on 4 occasions for Arsenal. The France great is one of only 4 players who have scored the most goals in the EPL across 3 or more seasons. Alan Shearer won the Golden Boot 3 times, once with Newcastle and twice with Blackburn Rovers, while Harry Kane's win in 2020-21 was also his third, all of them coming with Tottenham. Mohamed Salah's success for Liverpool in the 2021-22 season meant he joined that list of 3-time winners. Cristiano Ronaldo and Luis Suarez are 2 of the biggest names to have won the award, scoring 31 goals in 2007-08 and 2013-14 respectively. It is Liverpool who have had the most Premier League Golden Boot winners as a team with 7. Arsenal are just behind on 6, while Man United and Tottenham have had 5 winners. Chelsea are on 4, with Man City now level with them after Haaland gave the club a 4th win by finishing first in the list of 2023-24 Premier League top scorers. The Premier League began from the 1992-93 season. Prior to that, Ian Wright was the last highest goal scorer in England when it was the old First Division. Gary Lineker and Alan Smith were also winners in the 1990s before the league was rebranded. Recent Golden Boot winners: season winner/team goals 2023/24 Erling Haaland, Man City 272022/23 Erling Haaland, Man City 362021/22 Salah/Son, Liverpool/Spurs 23, award shared 2020/21 Harry Kane, Spurs 232019/20 Jamie Vardy, Leicester City 232018/19 Aubameyang/Mane/Salah, Arsenal/Liverpool 22, award shared 2017/18 Mohamed Salah, Liverpool 322016/17 Harry Kane, Spurs 292015/16 Harry Kane, Spurs 252014/15 Sergio Aguero, Man City 262013/14 Luis Suarez, Liverpool 312012/13 Robin van Persie, Man U 262011/12 Robin van Persie, Arsenal 30 most goals in a Premier League season. Erling Haaland has the record for the most goals in a single Premier League season, having scored 36 times in just 35 matches during the 2022-23 campaign. Previously, the record for most goals in an EPL campaign was shared by Alan Shearer, 1994-95, and Andy Cole, 1993-94. Both players scored an astonishing 34 goals, though the season schedule was longer then. Shearer did it in 42 matches and Cole reached the total from 40 games. Mohamed Salah came close to that record in 2017-18, scoring 32 times in 36 outings, producing what had been the best Premier League goal-scoring season in this century until Haaland's spectacular arrival. The Golden Boot winner with the best goals per game ratio in a season is also Haaland after his exploits in his record-setting season, 1.03 goals per game. Prior to that it was Kane after the England captain netted 29 times in just 30 games to win the 2016-17 scoring title, averaging 0.97 GPG. Who are the Premier League top scorers of all time? Alan Shearer is the highest goal scorer in Premier League history, having ended his career in 2006 with a magnificent 260 goals to his name. In England's top division, former Tottenham star Harry Kane, 213, and Man United legend Wayne Rooney, 208, are the only other players who have scored more than 200 EPL goals. Andy Cole, 187, Sergio Aguero, 184, Frank Lampard, 177, and Thierry Henry, 175, are former Premier League players who sit near the top of the all-time list. Before the 2024-25 season began, Robbie Fowler, 163, Jermaine Defoe, 162, Mohamed Salah, 157, and Michael Owen, 150, rounded out the 11 players in EPL history who had scored 150 goals or more. Prior to his transfer from Spurs to Bayern Munich in 2023, Kane was the highest-scoring active player, and he had long been cited as one of the rare contenders who has a chance to rival Shearer's record total. His departure means Salah is the highest remaining active Premier League player. He has been rising fast in the rankings, moving up to 10th overall with his 18 goals last season, having started the campaign in 14th place. Going into this campaign, Salah had scored at least 18 goals in all 7 of the Premier League seasons he had played with Liverpool, with Lampard, Henry, Fowler and Defoe now all realistically in his sights if he has a strong year in 2024-25.